up with positive or negative?
Negative 17.
There's more negative than there's positive.
Okay, that was my question.
So it's going to be a negative. Okay, and so like over here, if you lined up all the positives and the negatives together, you're only going to see 3 positives and 20 negatives. You're going to have a lot more negatives than you're going to have positives, right? So that's why your answer is negative. Okay? Alrighty. Any other questions with that? Alright, well let's say that we have negative 11 minus 3. Now, what do we get here? Now you can apply the property of subtraction if you like. You don't have to. But if it helps you see it better, then so we're going to, let's apply the property of subtraction. We're going to make the minus sign a plus, and then what? Change the sign to the next term, right? So it's the same thing mathematically. They're the same. It's just that the second term here, it's a little bit easier if you're just starting off looking at integers. It's easier to see it as adding negatives here than it is here. Here you've got negative 11 and you're making it more negative. But what happens is a lot of times students see this as a minus. They don't see it as a sign for this number. But it serves like a dual purpose. You got negative 11, you're negative 11 in the hole, and you're going 3 more in the hole. So now you're even further in the hole, right? So that's going to give us a negative 14. So the problem with negatives is with negatives, people are used to having negatives, seeing negatives as strictly subtraction. Now you're using negatives with addition by having a negative and making it even more negative. So you have to take that extra second to think about, okay, am I adding or am I subtracting or am I adding negatives? And that's the key. Alright? And it's kind of what's called a paradigm shift. You've always looked at negatives as just subtracting. Well, now it's no longer subtracting. Now you're looking at it as something else, a sign. You're looking at it as the sign to that number, and then you look, okay, now I have to decide, am I adding or subtracting? Okay. Now let's say that we're looking at what is seven. No, I don't want to do that one just yet. 7 less negative 5. When we say less, what do we mean? We're looking at what sign are we going to put for less? Subtract. It'd be a minus sign, right? Don't look at it as subtracting. Don't look at it as addition. Look at it as, am I going to put a plus or a minus in between those two numbers? Okay? Because if you look at it as plus or adding or subtracting, then what you're going to do is you're going to add or subtract, and you may end up adding negatives. Okay, so you're going to have 7, right? And then you're going to put a minus sign, and then what are you going to put after that? Negative 5, right? So in reality, are we adding or are we subtracting here? Adding, right. So we're going to change the sign, minus sign to a plus, change the sign in the next term. So we're really adding. So you see, that's why I don't want you to look at this as adding or subtracting. I want you to look at this as, do I put a plus or minus there, where that word is. Okay, and so that gives us a what? 12, right, a positive 12. Now, I would recommend to start with, you don't have to put a plus there, but I think putting a plus there will remind you, okay, I got to put a sign. Positive or negative, I got to put a sign there. And another problem that students have with integers is that they'll look at this as adding, and then they'll say, okay, adding. Well, adding is always a positive, but not anymore. For whole numbers it was, but not for integers. So if you put a plus, if you have a problem with forgetting the minus sign, and that is a very common error to start with working with integers, put that plus sign for positive numbers for now until you get used to making sure that you have a plus or a minus there. Okay? And that'll help. Okay, any questions with that?
How come, when you have, where is it? Say, on number 73, where you have 6 minus 9, oh no, 74, let's say, minus 7, minus 2, and then when you have,
What's the number?
74, page 199, and then you keep it, you keep it subtracted, or minus sign, but when you have number, let's see, 82, how come you have to make them addition? If those say
Which one? 92?
82.
82. 82. Well, one like, you said, which one was it?